You've been kidnapped by a madman. He's locked you in the basement. You will have a set amount of time to find all of his keys.
Did you find something?
Decipher all of his clues and solve all of his puzzles before he comes back to finish the job.
Tom, here's the thing. EscapeRoomAuthority.com and ThemeParkUniversity.com rated The Basement LA as the #1 escape room in the USA. And eagle-eared listeners... Do eagles? Is that a thing? Anyway, as I said it, that seemed wrong. Yeah. I'm going to go with it. Eagle-eared listeners will recall we did the escape room anxiety in a recent episode, and you agreed to take some friends to the Escape Room LA, 22 minutes from your house.
Yep.
To actually participate. It looks horrible, and I hate the website because it puts me in a space of terror, and yet I'm still looking at it. I can't look away. You have now done this. You took your friends, and I would like to hear how you did.
And they will remember that you paid for me, which is very sweet. I appreciate it. Yes, 5 of us went. There were 5, including myself, and then 3 strangers for a total of 8. See how I did that?
That was quick math.
And This is The Basement LA. The story behind it is me and my friends have been kidnapped by Edward Tandy, a cannibalistic serial killer with a fine taste for unique electronics, taxidermy, and of course, human flesh. So basically, you're locked in his basement, and in a Saw kind of way, he talks to you in the beginning and says that you have 45 minutes to escape, thus proving that you are worthy of escape. Does that make sense so far?
Okay.
That's sort of
I guess. Yeah. So he's okay with you getting out if you can get out.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Because then we've proved that we're worth it.
Okay.
So, and you're told all that in the beginning.
Okay.
Here's how it starts is they bring you from the front office into sort of an antechamber. They tell you all the rules, which are don't break stuff, quit it, don't be jerks all your life. But they're all still like sort of pretending that it's real. And then
did they, just to recap, did they tell you not to like put your tongue in an outlet? Don't eat anything?
They did. There was a lot of don't force anything.
Okay. All right.
But I was actually yelled at one point. Remind me to get to that. Okay. So we go into then a smaller room where we're played sort of a backstory of Edward Tandy, and some fake news articles, just sort of putting you in mind of it. And then each of us has to put a black hood over our heads.
Nope.
I thought of you as soon as that happened. I was like, Pete is out. So we all do that, right? You can sort of see a little bit, but mostly you just sort of see the fabric and you can feel your breath on your face. One of those 3 people was a girl who noped out immediately. We're not even in the room yet. And we hear the door open and close and she's out.
She's the smartest person in the group.
She did end up coming back in. I guess someone was out there, like maybe this happens a lot, and talked to her and said, it's not, this is the scariest part. It'll be okay. It was not the scariest part. Anyways, and then someone leads us into the next room. You can't really see anything. You just see a bunch of shapes. And then all of a sudden you're against a chain link fence. Now, again, for listeners, I'm not going to go through this step by step. I'm not going to give away answers. That would be a terrible thing to do. So I'm just sort of setting the scene. You hear Edward Tandy from a recording tell us, here's what we're doing. We have 45 minutes. If we do not get out in time, there is gas that will descend on us from these pipes that are everywhere. And he says, and then you will be unable to stop from what I do to your bodies when you're, and then you take the hoods off and you're just in a very, very small space against a chain link fence. You can see the room that you're trying to get into. Either way, it starts with you you have to break your way in to the escape room in order to get out. Yes.
What?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. It looks like you've all signed the safety waiver. If you read it, you would know that inside there are some loud noises, bright lights, artificial fog, and some strong odors. So if you're pregnant, or if you have any significant health conditions, you should definitely sit this out. Escaping this nightmare is actually pretty easy. It's pretty easy. The biggest problem people have is that they overthink the puzzles. So just keep it simple. You have to make friends and you have to communicate with one another. If someone finds a key,
was magical. I loved it. The set design was key. There was so many different kind of clues, and it was just really scary. There's mannequins all over the place. There's tons of closets. And I started to get really into it a little bit too much at one point. I talked about this, I think, a little bit, that I'm at risk because I like to immerse myself so much into a situation that my anxiety can get a hold of me a little bit. There were a couple times when I saw that happening, that it's a mix of what if this really was true and this was happening and time is running out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm at the border of not having fun. Instead, I'm just getting stressed out.
Yeah.
And so the way that I would, no one seemed to mind. It actually is hurting the immersion a little bit. But like at one point I had searched this jacket and I realized that it kind of fit me. So I put on the jacket and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I found a jacket and it fits pretty well. Like, I just make these announcements that are not helpful because everyone's calling out, we have a key, we have a keypad. That's the whole point.
Here's Tom. I look great.
I look good in
just
this jacket.
Checking in.
Absolutely. I'm just, or I would say, I've opened and closed this drawer 5 times because I would keep going back to things.
That's more my experience right now. I realize you and I might actually be kindred spirits in terms of the actual experience of the escape room.
Because I normally wouldn't hurt the immersion, and especially, if it was like interactive theater, I would never do that.
No.
But just to sort of like let the pressure off a little bit, I felt that helped me, and people laughed like it was the best joke ever. So clearly it was just pressure. It was not that funny. So yeah, you spend 45 minutes just tearing this room apart, and what you think is the room is not the entire room. There are false closets. There are things that open up into tunnels. I'm not going to give everything away. It's very dark in the room. And so at some point you find a flashlight that becomes key, and teamwork of constantly passing the flashlight back and forth. There's also a black light, which becomes very key.
All of the things that I just want to say in terms of you're being very protected, I think rightfully so, of these kinds of elements. But for listeners, if you go to thebasementla.com, everything that Tom is talking about here, they actually have this video kind of playing in the background. And so you can see that stuff. Like, it's not, I don't think it's giving away anything in the thing. Somehow people get flashlights, right? That clearly, there's people in the tunnels, there's people with a black light. So, you haven't given away any spoilers.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
So it doesn't feel like to me.
Excellent. Well, then here's how you get out. No. 2 other things. At one point, there is this lamp that doesn't work. And so I decide it's because I have to switch out the light bulb inside. So I have my hand in the lamp and I'm starting to do this. And this is the only time that they had to break quote unquote character over an announcement. Someone says, you don't need to do that. Put the lamp down. I was like, okay. I'm immediately like super embarrassed because they have cameras everywhere. They're watching us the entire time. So I'm immediately embarrassed and go into this little side room where there's this barrel. This big, like empty, would probably be filled with, toxic chemicals, but instead it's empty.
Okay.
Pete, this barrel is an obsession I still have to this day. Nothing involves the barrel. But man, I asked for all the flashlights. I brought it out. I was obsessed with this barrel. It had nothing to do with it. And I'm not spoiling it because there's 2 different versions of the room. So probably the barrel is really big in something else. It just wasn't in ours. I was just
that's
at that
really
barrel
interesting. So they actually have multiple kind of storylines.
Yes, so you can do it more than once. Exactly right.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so that was the barrel, and that was me getting yelled at, and it was just really. I mean, there was tons of great communication. There was yelling and excited stuff. Twice I did tell everyone to go, everyone stop talking, which I'm not proud of myself because I had the answer to something, but I couldn't get it out. And so I just yelled that. I apologized later for that to my friends, and they were like, no, it totally needed to happen. You had the answer and no one was listening. Everyone was yelling their own stuff. So, but I still feel kind of bad about that because of course I was probably just screaming about that dumb barrel.
Yeah. Right.
And it was really, really exciting. Everyone really pitched in. Everyone had some, probably I was the least clutch player, if I can be honest, because I'm walking around like checking the same drawer, that dumb barrel, and talking about a jacket. But I did have 2 to 3, like, we're able to move forward because of me, because of something that I figured out, which is great. And it was like that across the board. I mean, definitely there were certain people that were stronger at it. Friend of the show, Joy, friend of the show, Darnell, and his beautiful wife, Lauren, they all went and they were all great. What was your question?
Well, my question was... and
Johnny Giacalone. I apologize.
Johnny Giacalone.
You can't say it.
Look, so did you get a sense of how the anxiety experience impacted others on your team? I mean, you are just sort of super into this stuff. Is everybody equally into it? Were they, did anybody sort of bury themselves in the part besides the young woman who ran away? Yeah,
Nope Girl never really she sort of wandered around, and every once in a while she would say, has anyone looked in here? Let's not just go for it. So she never really got back on board. But no, there was it was really good teamwork. But then as time was going down and down and alarms start going off at some point, a little bit of gas seems to come out as if he's reminding you this is what. And so things just sort of ratcheted up and everyone gets a little bit louder and a little bit quicker. I figured out something very late that was a big step forward, and there was about 1 minute left and I needed to turn myself off.
What? What does that mean?
I mean, I was like, I just helped us get forward, and I think maybe we're getting close to the end, but there's not enough time. We're not going to make it out. So I just have to relax. Because the other option was get ratcheted. Certain people were getting ratcheted up, not in an angry way, but just really people are having trouble typing. Like everything is like the adrenaline is so high that because we were so close to the end, I can only talk about myself. I just was like, I did my part. And now I'm going to stop.
Wow.
Because the other version is just going insane.
Okay.
Anyways.
So you didn't make it out as a group?
We did, Pete. With 19 seconds to spare. We made it out. And the success rate of this room, if you look on the website, is very low. But we made it out with 19 seconds. That was one of the reasons that I had to sort of turn myself off. And it was at the very end. At 35 seconds, I screamed something that was typed into a computer, which led to a key thing, which led to Darnell running across the room, typing in 4 numbers. And then all of a sudden,
we know Darnell's a hell of a runner.
Oh, he's great. And he's so tall. It was like half a step for him.
Yeah.
I'm just tripping over my jacket. I'm inside the barrel at this point.
Which is going to be a new euphemism for everything. So don't worry. I'm in the barrel now.
I'm in the barrel right now.
Yeah. All right.
And the person that checked us in was on the other side of the door, breathing really heavily. And it looked like she was sweating. She goes, man, you guys cut it close. But they seemed like they were really on our side the whole time. And they're like, I mean, there was no time to spare. And
I love how their experience is just like, well, you're in the room now. It's totally out of our control.
Right.
Exactly. They just wash their hands of you.
Yeah. Except when I start throwing the lamp around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was to get out. I found out talking about it later, I was not the only one resigned to, we're not going to make it out.
Wow.
But Darnell didn't quit. Lauren didn't quit. I mean, it was great. I was just happy that I got my little clue towards the end. And so I just powered down, but it was thrilling. And I mean,
good.
Talking about it afterwards, we were just going over all of it. It was it's really a great time. And the cool thing is we're going to go back. There are more. Once you get it, there's actually 4 different parts to the same story, that you get out of the basement and then you're in the elevator shaft. You get out of the elevator shaft, then you're in, I believe, the study, and then finally the courtyard. So you can be sort of immersed in this story and keep going. And we have all decided we want to go back and try this.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Ah, you guys are terrible. And fantastic.
Thank you so much for finding it and suggesting it. I mean, there are 900,000 escape rooms here in Los Angeles. I had somehow never heard of this one. And Pete, I give it 5 escape rooms.
Okay.
I give it 10 escapees. Hooray!